You close your eyes. Your breath softens, muscles relax, the body surrenders. And then, something vanishes. Not in the way light fades from a room, but like a thread being pulled from the fabric of your being. That thread is consciousness, the real you. The part that thinks without words, that observes without eyes, that remembers things no one taught you. And every night it disappears into silence, while your body remains behind, warm and still beneath a blanket. But where does it go? What happens to the essence of your awareness while you sleep? We've been told it's just rest, just brain maintenance, just dreams. But that explanation has never accounted for the mysteries that unfold in darkness. Why do some people awaken with knowledge they never learned, or recall entire lifetimes that don't match their own? Why does fear sometimes creep in from nowhere, sharp and ancient, as if from another world? Ancient civilizations didn't dismiss this as fantasy. The Egyptians recorded it on sacred papyrus. Tibetan monks buried it in scrolls too dangerous for outsiders. And in the West, texts that dared speak the truth were hunted down and burned. Among them was a single manuscript, lost to flame in 1587, that gave this nightly disappearance its truest name: the compulsory journey. Not a choice, not a metaphor. A voyage that all of us take, whether we realize it or not. A passage through the unseen layers of reality that exist beyond waking life. Cultures have named these realms differently: the astral plane, the spirit world, the dream fields of the soul. The names vary, the experience does not. While your body sleeps like a recharging vessel, your consciousness roams. It explores, it learns, it is changed. But here's the tragedy: 99% of people return from this journey empty-handed. Not because they didn't experience something, but because they were never taught how to notice it. The signs are subtle: vibrations in the chest, echoes in the spine, dream fragments that feel more real than memory. These are not symptoms, they are signals, traces, a hidden trail leading back to the truth of what you are and what you do when the world goes dark. If you've ever sensed that something extraordinary happens at night, if you've ever woken up with a feeling that won't leave you, or with a knowing you can't explain, then your intuition was speaking. Not in symbols or visions, but in raw, silent recognition. And now, for the first time, you're going to be shown the map. A way to remember where you go when your body sleeps. A way to bring back what you find. And if you follow that trail, what you bring back might just change everything you thought was real. Perhaps you felt it before without knowing what it meant. That strange weightlessness right before you fall asleep. As if your body is anchored, but something inside you begins to lift. Or maybe you've woken up with images in your mind of places you've never seen, yet they feel as familiar as childhood memories. There's an old esoteric saying whispered through the centuries: each sleep is a little death, and each awakening a quiet rebirth. Most people never consider sleep this way, but the moment your eyes close and your mind slips beneath the surface, something within you lets go. A gentle, sacred separation begins to unfold. To sleep, in its truest sense, is to surrender control. You relinquish your alertness, your identity, your name, your narrative. The body enters autopilot, your lungs expand, your heart beats, but the conscious self releases its grip on the material world. And in that surrender, something profound occurs. A process not unlike death begins to take place, mirrored in miniature. Ancient spiritual traditions teach that when we die, the consciousness departs from the body and continues its journey. In sleep, this same motion is rehearsed. Only the cord that connects remains intact. It is not cut, only stretched, a shimmering tether known across traditions as the silver cord. This energetic bridge binds the living body to the animating soul, allowing you to drift out and return safely. But should that cord ever break, as it does in final death, there is no return. The journey becomes permanent. Many sages throughout history viewed sleep as training for a conscious death. They taught that those who learned to die each night, who approached sleep not with exhaustion but with reverence, would greet real death not with fear but with clarity and peace. That's why rituals before bed held deep importance in countless cultures, not merely to protect the body during its vulnerable state, but to guide the soul's nightly departure, reminding it of its mission. Even in separation, night became more than rest. It was a sacred ceremony of departure and return. Now perhaps you see with clearer eyes, the reason we rarely recall what happens while we sleep is not because nothing happens, but because the threshold between waking and dreaming remains untamed. It is a wild frontier of consciousness we were never taught to navigate, but taming it is possible. Recognizing that sleep is a nightly brush with death is the first step toward living more fully awake. Those who begin to understand the fragility and grandeur of this nightly odyssey start to cherish each dream, each floating sensation, each shadow of memory as fragments of a higher intelligence far beyond what waking life can grasp. Among the forgotten teachings surrounding nocturnal consciousness lies an ancient practice, one that has the power to radically deepen your recall and awareness of out-of-body experiences: biphasic sleep. In early civilizations, ancient Greece, Egypt, even medieval Europe, sleep wasn't a single long stretch of unconsciousness. It came in two great waves. People would rest for several hours, awaken in the middle of the night, and spend an hour or more reading, praying, meditating, or simply sitting in silence before returning to sleep until dawn. This waking interval wasn't considered a problem. It was sacred, a gap between dimensions, a crack in the wall of time where inner worlds could be explored and the soul could speak. What we now label as insomnia was once understood as invitation. Why does any of this matter for those seeking higher states of consciousness through sleep? Because the threshold between the first and second phases of rest is one of the most fertile gateways for out-of-body experiences, lucid dreams, and spiritual encounters. In that quiet middle space, when you wake naturally in the still hours of night, your brain remains steeped in deep theta and delta waves, yet a flicker of conscious awareness begins to return. You are not fully awake, but no longer entirely submerged in the unconscious. You're at a gate, a portal. The veil between worlds at this precise moment becomes thinner, more translucent. Rational thought has not yet fully regained its grip, and the deeper mind is still open, fluid, suggestible. It is in this mysterious in-between that profound experiences often occur. Those trained in the art of conscious separation, what some call astral projection, have long known that these partially awake moments are ideal launch points. The body is heavy, still ensnared in sleep, but the mind gains just enough awareness to initiate movement, not physical, but energetic. A shift in perception, a ripple across dimensions. Biphasic sleep, by design, supports this process. It enhances dream recall, strengthens the tether between memory and meaning, and surfaces the most recent dream material, allowing you to capture it before it fades like smoke at sunrise. This is why ancient civilizations honored the gap between sleep cycles, not as a disturbance, but as a sacred pause, a time to write, to meditate, to listen inwardly. They understood what we've forgotten. Consciousness, when left uninterrupted, reveals things no daylight could ever offer. If you want to explore this for yourself, the path is simple. Sleep as you normally would. Let the first cycle carry you naturally into its depths, usually for 4 to 5 hours. When you awaken, either spontaneously or with the help of a gentle alarm, remain still. Let silence surround you. Pay attention to the subtle sensations in your body, the weight of your limbs, the flickers of imagery, the fragments of dreams. Do not leap up or rush away. Instead, let your mind float, stay in the gap. Dwell in the quiet between thoughts. If you choose to return to sleep, do so with intention. Set your focus on remaining aware within the dream, or gently initiate an out-of-body departure. This minor adjustment to your sleep pattern may open inner doors you never knew existed. Doors that lead not outward, but deeper in. Biphasic sleep is not a modern hack or new discovery. It is a buried inheritance, an ancestral memory from a time when humanity understood that sleep was not merely a biological necessity, but a sacred transit between dimensions. And every night, without full awareness, you encounter other forms of consciousness. Some of these presences may feel familiar, others entirely foreign, but none of them are meaningless. Each encounter carries a purpose, a message, a lesson, a mirror. When we speak of other consciousness, we are not simply referring to human souls. In the subtle realms, you may interact with spirit guardians, departed loved ones, friends who have transitioned and now return, briefly, to offer comfort or guidance. There are also teachers, guides, beings of high vibrational intelligence who awaken memories long buried within your deeper self. These meetings may unfold symbolically, encrypted in dreamlike imagery, or they may come through clear dialogue, direct touch, or wordless transmissions that strike you like lightning, not through your ears, but through your knowing. These are not fantasy. They are echoes of something deeper, something ancient, and they are waiting for you in the quiet hours where the body sleeps, but the soul listens. Sometimes you wake with the unmistakable sense that you aren't alone. A scent lingers that doesn't belong to your room. A voice echoes in your mind, half heard but deeply felt, as if someone whispered to you the moment your eyes opened. Or maybe you carry an emotion through your day that has no origin, a tenderness, a grief, an unshakable calm. These aren't illusions. They are fragments of night encounters, the residue of contact with realms most never remember. Each meeting, whether soft or overwhelming, is an opportunity to heal a hidden wound, to recall forgotten agreements, to receive a mission, or to move one step closer toward your awakening. But not every encounter is gentle. Some beings stir discomfort, fear, even resistance. That doesn't mean they are malevolent. Often, they are mirrors, reflecting unresolved aspects of your own psyche, the shadow pieces you've avoided or misunderstood. The wisest way to approach these meetings is not with fear, but with frequency. Raise your vibration before you sleep. Fill your final thoughts with love, gratitude, protection, and light. These are not cliches. They are signals, and they shape the dimension you enter. You attune your consciousness to the quality of presence it will attract. Intention becomes the compass. Your soul never travels alone. It moves in constellations, learning and being learned, touching and being touched. Among the deepest mysteries of the nocturnal journey is this: the potential to access parallel lives. Imagine, just beyond your waking awareness, there are versions of you, living different choices, walking different paths, loving different people, becoming different selves. These aren't fantasy. They are extensions of your consciousness across layered realities. Many accounts of lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences speak of alternate worlds where another you exists, mirroring your current dilemmas, carrying echoes of your own fears and longings. In sleep, especially when your consciousness moves freely, you may cross into these parallel realms. You may meet a version of yourself who chose the path you once hesitated to take. You may witness a you that pursued the dream you abandoned, or one who overcame the fear that still holds you back. And sometimes, you meet a self who has taken on a purpose far beyond what you currently imagine. These encounters are never random. Through these other selves, You receive guidance, not in the form of instructions, but as knowing, instinct, insight, the courage to shift what once felt fixed. Often, they arrive disguised, a dream so vivid it feels impossible to dismiss, or a moment of déjà vu so powerful it unbalances you. These are signs. Signs that your consciousness has brushed against another timeline, another version of your truth. They are reminders that reality is more fluid than you were taught to believe. As if life itself, in its boundless compassion, is whispering, "Look again. You are more vast than you know. There are more paths than you've been shown. And there is more strength in you than your fear dares admit." Opening yourself to these experiences begins not with control, but with reverence. With honoring the strange dream, the sudden knowing, the flicker of familiarity in a stranger's eyes. Instead of dismissing them, ask, "What is this moment trying to reveal to me? Which part of me is speaking through this?" You are not a single, linear self. You are a vast, radiant soul, branching out across dimensions, woven through multiple lifetimes and possibilities. And at night, when the veil between worlds becomes thin, you can remember, you can reach, you can touch the other versions of you. Those walking parallel paths, living untold stories, carrying different lights. Not to escape your life, but to illuminate it. Have you ever read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig? It's a fiction, yes, but the premise touches on something many people have quietly felt, but rarely dared to name. It's time we said it out loud. Not every dream is just a dream. Some dreams are encrypted reports, downloads from journeys your soul undertook in other realms, silent records of contact with unseen intelligences, parallel lives, or invisible missions your consciousness accepted long before you woke up in this world. The difference is energetic. Shallow dreams dissolve like mist at sunrise, but the real ones, the ones that arise from astral travel or multidimensional awareness, leave an imprint. They haunt you, not like ghosts, but like echoes of something truer than waking life. To realize that a dream might not be just a dream is to begin waking up inside the mystery of existence itself. It is to step off the conveyor belt of unconscious life and start living, even while asleep, with intention, with eyes open to the invisible. Do not dismiss what your dreams are trying to say. They are messages, bridges, thresholds between the known and the unknown. And when you wake up carrying something that feels more like memory than fantasy, understand this. You've touched something real. You crossed. You remembered. There is a moment, almost imperceptible, between deep sleep and the awakening of consciousness in subtler realms. In this moment, energy gates open. These gates aren't visible with physical eyes. They appear as vibrational fractures, as shimmering frequencies, as brief alignments that connect our dense, physical world with higher dimensions of spirit. And during sleep, especially during its deepest cycles or partial awakenings, your consciousness has the rare chance to move through them. These moments are delicate. They require soul openness and mental sensitivity. Fear, anxiety, or excessive attachment to the body can close them in an instant. Have you ever woken up inside a dream, fully conscious but paralyzed? Your mind awake, your body frozen. That was not just a sleep phenomenon. That was the doorway. You stood at the gate of an energetic threshold. The paralysis wasn't a malfunction. It was your soul hovering at the edge, deciding whether to go through. During sleep, your consciousness instinctively seeks these openings. But to recognize them, you must train your attention. The signs are subtle but powerful. A feeling of unbearable heaviness or extreme lightness just before drifting off. A low humming or vibrational sound in your ears during transitions, or the strange sensation that your room is spinning, or that you're being pulled gently out of your body. These are sacred moments. If you meet them not with panic, But with surrender, your awareness can cross over and enter levels of perception and intelligence that not only change your nights, they transform your life. Learn to listen. Do not reject what seems strange. Trust what whispers inside you. Let yourself be carried. Believe in the light within you. But not every presence in these subtle realms is benevolent, not every encounter neutral, and not every energy moving through your sleep is helpful. This is why, for thousands of years, spiritual traditions have spoken of guardians, real beings of intelligence and compassion, who watch over our nocturnal journeys. And they have also warned of interference, disruptive forces that attempt to derail or drain us, especially when we grow near to spiritual awakening. The guardians are not myths. They are conscious entities operating in silence, protecting your path, ensuring the silver cord remains intact, and fending off hostile presences that may seek to manipulate or destabilize your inner clarity. You may have felt them before, in a dream where a luminous guide led you out of danger, in the sudden feeling of safety during a nightmare, or simply in those mysterious awakenings when you're absolutely certain, though you cannot explain how, that you were not alone, that you were seen and shielded. But just as there are guardians, there are also intrusions. These are not always malevolent in the way we imagine, but they are real. Lost energies, fragmented consciousness, entities caught between worlds, drifting through dense realms, some seeking only to sustain themselves, others feeding on fear, confusion, or emotional vulnerability. They don't appear with fire and brimstone. They arrive subtly, when you are vibrating low, when grief or rage or loneliness weighs down your field. In sleep, when your natural defenses are lowered, these emotional states can open the door. Uninvited presences slip in, not because they are stronger, but because you are momentarily unguarded. Here lies the secret. You are responsible for your vibrational field. In the unseen laws that govern subtle realms, frequency attracts frequency. Maintaining a resonance of love, gratitude, courage, and truth before sleep is like building a wall of light around you. Prayer, meditation, sacred intention, these are not old superstitions. They are energetic technologies. They signal the guardians. They raise your shield. And with consistent practice, even sleep, once feared as a territory of vulnerability, becomes a field of acceleration, where you grow faster than waking life could allow. Most people still believe that sleep is simply a shutdown, but there is a deeper truth, rarely spoken, even more rarely remembered. Your soul may be on assignment. While the body rests, your higher consciousness may be serving something far greater than your ego's needs, responding to the silent call of light, moving through dimensions, fulfilling missions that require no permission from your waking self. These missions take many forms. Spiritual rescue, helping lost energies find their way back to light. Healing, transmitting frequencies of restoration to people, places, or situations in need. Guidance, serving as a mentor to newly transitioned souls, assisting them in crossing thresholds. Learning, receiving codes, teachings, or blueprints for future challenges. Downloading wisdom that cannot be accessed in the density of matter. These assignments don't require your conscious consent. The soul moves where it must. And though your logical mind may forget, your body remembers. Have you ever awoken exhausted after a long sleep, or felt the echo of a deep emotion you can't trace, as if you participated in something immense but invisible? Perhaps you've dreamed of helping others, rescuing someone, leading them through danger. These are memory leaks from your true night journeys. Over time, with consistent spiritual practice, mindfulness before sleep, gratitude so deep it shifts your breath, and a clear intention to serve the light, you can begin to remember more. And if you're ready to go deeper, know this: intention and gratitude are not emotional gestures. They are keys. They recalibrate your vibration, anchor your awareness, and open the veil, I invite you to take on the Quantum Consciousness Challenge, a journey of 21 sacred tasks over 21 nights. This is not just to improve your dreams, but to transform your life here and now by shifting your identity from ego to essence. In these other realms, words are not the primary form of communication. Consciousness speaks differently there, through vibration, through symbols, through pure knowing. Faster and more direct than any human language, the transmissions you receive during sleep bypass the intellect and speak to the soul. That's why so many dreams feel strange, untranslatable. They aren't made for the logical mind. They are encoded messages for the deeper self. Imagine each symbol you see in a dream, every key, bridge, storm, mirror, not as decoration, but as data. Each one is a compressed frequency packet, designed to trigger something inside you, a memory, a calling, a transformation. This is the language of your higher subconscious. It doesn't describe reality, it reshapes it. It touches the essence, rearranges destiny. It doesn't tell stories. It reprograms your inner architecture, layer by layer. So when you find yourself dreaming in powerful symbols, recurring images, emotional scenes, impossible places that feel too vivid to forget, pay attention. Don't rush to analyze. Instead, feel what stirs within you. The rational mind may search for explanations, but in the language of the soul, meaning is vibration, not logic. A door is never just a door. It may be the living symbol of a path your higher self is finally ready to walk. An animal companion might not be random. It could be a mirror of a strength within you long forgotten, a piece of your own wild power asking to be reclaimed. A storm may not threaten you. It may cleanse you. It may signal that something within is being released, even if your conscious mind still resists. To decode this language, you don't need intellectual effort. You need sensitivity. You need reverence. You need to receive symbols as sacred guests, messengers from the deeper parts of your being. One of the most effective practices for this is keeping a dream journal. Write down symbols, feelings, even fragments the moment you awaken. These brief notes, seemingly incoherent at first, begin to form a bridge, a living thread between the invisible world of the night and the grounded world of your waking life. Over time, patterns emerge, themes repeat, and what once felt random begins to speak in a voice you recognize as your own. There's a unique kind of heartbreak that comes from waking with the certainty that something extraordinary happened, and then losing it within seconds. It slips away like mist between your fingers. But this too is a message. Your consciousness is experiencing more than your memory can hold. Each night, each dream, each astral journey leaves an imprint in you, even if you forget. But accessing those traces requires practice. It requires patience. It requires honoring the language of the unseen. The good news is that there are simple, powerful techniques that can help you retrieve those memories and bring the soul's nightly adventures into the light of day. Begin with how you wake. Abrupt alarms and sudden movements tear the fragile thread between dream and memory. Instead, try to wake softly. Keep your eyes closed for a few minutes. Breathe deeply. Let impressions rise gently, like bubbles in still water. That space between sleep and waking is a sacred bridge. Walk it slowly. Before sleep, set your intention clearly. Consciousness follows direction. A simple affirmation repeated with sincerity. Tonight, I will remember what my soul experiences, can reshape your internal landscape. You are not begging for insight. You are commanding attention from your deeper self, and the soul always responds to sincerity. Some find it helpful to place subtle anchors beside their bed, a small amethyst crystal, a drop of lavender oil on the pillow, or a whispered mantra of lucidity. These are not magic tricks. They are frequency tools. They stabilize your energetic environment and attune your awareness to the act of remembering. Above all, keep a dream journal. This cannot be emphasized enough. Leave a notebook and pen by your bed. As soon as you wake, write down anything: colors, phrases, a face, a flash of emotion. Even if it seems meaningless, especially if it seems meaningless, the rational mind will try to erase it in minutes if you don't act. But over time, you will see the patterns, you will hear the language. You will begin to recognize that the dreams are not stories. They are maps. Many give up too early, convinced they just don't dream or can't remember. But memory of the astral realm is a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it becomes. With time, what was once foggy becomes vivid. What was once forgotten becomes familiar. And what once felt imaginary becomes real. Have you ever heard of the hypnagogic state? It's the thin veil between waking and sleep, a liminal space where visions, sensations, and thoughts arise like glowing rivers across the mind. Most people pass through this threshold without noticing it, slipping into sleep quickly out of habit or exhaustion. But if you learn to linger, to remain softly aware, this state becomes one of the most fertile territories of consciousness available to the soul. It is here that glimpses of higher dimensions break through. It is here that the veil lifts, if only for a breath. The hypnagogic state is a bridge between worlds. In this brief territory, the rational mind loses its grip, the walls of defense fall away, and your subtle awareness begins to unfurl. You are no longer anchored in waking reality, but you haven't yet entered the realm of dreams. And in this strange magnetic twilight, the unseen begins to speak. Signs you've entered this state may include spontaneous images that flash across your inner vision, sensations of floating or shifting without physical movement, or an altered sense of the body, feeling yourself expand, shrink, or become impossibly light. That moment when you're just falling asleep and suddenly jerk awake as if you've fallen, that's the gate. That's what we're talking about. Why does this matter? Because if you learn to recognize and hold awareness in this state, you can enter profound states of healing, recalibration, and energetic redirection. The first step may be simple. Don't fall asleep too quickly. Let yourself drift in the space between. Hold your awareness lightly. Watch what rises. Observe what emerges. This is a sacred rehearsal for something far older than dreaming. This is communion. We are taught from childhood that sleep is just a pause, a blank space between one day and the next. But now you know better. Every night is a sacred journey, disguised as rest. You are not a body that happens to dream. You are a traveler of consciousness. You cross invisible thresholds. You meet unseen guides. You face shadows. You heal. You serve. You remember things that cannot be taught in daylight. With each descent into sleep, your soul reconnects to the vastness it came from. And with each return to waking, you are given the opportunity to carry fragments of that vastness back into form. True awakening doesn't happen when you open your eyes in the morning. It happens when you realize who you truly are, both in the visible and the invisible. It happens when you know your path didn't begin with your birth, and it will not end with your death. It happens when you understand that your nights are just as alive as your days. The forbidden book, after all, was never just a manuscript lost to fire and fear. The forbidden book is you. If this journey resonated with you, don't let it end here. Subscribe to this channel to continue walking the path of inner awakening, night after night, truth after truth. Share this video with those who might be quietly searching for something they cannot name. Sometimes all it takes is one spark to remind someone of who they truly are. Thank you for being here. I'll meet you again, somewhere between dream and dawn. Until then, keep your light on and keep remembering.